Well, hello everybody. It's me again. This is yet another writing mini lesson. Today's lesson is going to focus on the rule of write about a pebble. This is part one of two. So, without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. And I'll kind of go through some of these slides and explain things as we go. So, let's go ahead. So the first thing that I want to point out, guys, is when you're writing, your goal should be to provide the reader with a being there experience. Provide the reader with a being there experience. And I'll explain that a little bit more in the next few slides, what that means. I noticed something here, guys. Got to call me on that. Provide the reader. There we go. I fixed that for you. So we're going to provide the reader with a being there experience. And I'll explain to you a little bit about how you would do that. Okay. So the rule of write about a pebble, it kind of looks like this. So you don't want to write about a general idea or a topic when you're writing. Okay. Might not make sense right now, but by the time we get through this assignment or this presentation, I think it'll make a little bit more sense to you. So you don't want to write about things that are general. You want to try to pick a topic or something that is very specific. And then you also want to concentrate or create details and observed experiences. Okay? For example, maybe an observable person, a place that you've been, a special occasion that you've been in, that you've experienced, maybe a specific time, a specific object, such as your favorite pillow, or I don't know, your favorite flower, favorite food, animal, or experience. Okay. So the rule of write about a pebble kind of looks like this. When you're using this rule, you want to write with a focus on the sensory images and think about your five senses when we're focusing on the rule of write about a pebble. So maybe sight, sound, smell, touch, and taste. So you want to bring in strong verbs that provide details and that bring those details to life. Okay. So we're looking at examples here. So when you're trying to think of like a topic to write about, when we're focusing on this rule of write about a pebble, I'm going to give you the don't write abouts versus the write abouts. And I've got a handful of examples here that might help you, and it might kind of clarify some things. So I put this little, I guess it's called like a close read, where you just kind of fill in the blank a little bit. And I'm going to go through some scenarios here about things that you wouldn't want to write about versus some things that you should write about. So you'll notice the highlighted orange words are the ones that I really want you to focus on. So you don't want to write about pebbles. You want to write about a specific pebble. That kind of goes back to what we were talking about here at the beginning. I'll go back and show you what I'm talking about. That was back here. So Again, we're going back to providing that reader with a being there experience. In that first example, if we're writing about pebbles, it's too broad. You want to focus in and give them that experience by focusing in on just one single pebble. Okay? Don't write about general idea or topic. Pebbles is pretty general, right? Write about something specific. One specific pebble. That kind of does the trick. Okay? Let's get back to where we were. Such as this one. Don't write about fall. Write about a certain fall day. Okay? Go to the window. Go outside. See that specific picture and try to paint that picture using those words. Don't write about sunsets. Write about the amazing sunset that you saw last night. See how every one of these is going from general to real specific. Don't write about dogs or kittens. Observe and write about your dog or your kitten. Friendship. Don't write about friendship. Write about one specific friend or your friend, about what he or she does to be a good friend to you. I have some more for you guys too. I'm going to pull them all up and we'll start at the top. Okay, so I changed my mind. Don't write about love, write about specifically about someone or something that you love. So they're the greatest way or the greatest way you could write love poems. Don't write about sailing. Remember and write about a time that you went sailing. Don't write about babies. Write about your babysitter or maybe like your baby cousin, favorite baby cousin. Don't write about reading. Write about your experiences reading a certain book, like your favorite book. And don't write about pumpkins. Write about maybe the pumpkin that you carved last night, the pumpkin that you grew from a seed, your family's jack-o'-lantern, those kind of things. All right. So I gave you on those previous slides some do's and don'ts on writing specifically and not generally. So I wanted you to take a look at a student example, and I put a note there that this was the first draft, okay? And I want you to kind of pay attention to how things changed from the first draft to the revised draft, okay? So let's take a look at the poem. So the name of this poem conveniently is called Pebbles, and it goes like this. A mineral, a rock, a quiet, innocent little thing that comes in all shapes and sizes that you find on the beach, outdoors, on your floor, but you think it's just another ordinary thing. But if you think hard, it's something that's special. Where would all the beaches, sand, and gravel driveways be if it weren't for the one tiny, quiet, innocent, ordinary pebble? So here's what I'm going to do, guys. I want to kind of exit this for just a second and kind of paint a scenario for you if I can. I want to take a look at my notes down at the bottom of the screen here. You may or may not be able to see them, but that first draft was pretty good. Um, but as I kind of designed this assignment or this presentation, I wanted to kind of give you guys a feel of like the process a little bit. So basically, after the kid wrote this poem, they would have had a conference with the teacher to determine, what was the intention? Why did that student write this specific poem? So the student kind of told the teacher a story about what he believed that pebbles and blades of grass and other small things don't really get much attention, or we don't think much about those things and we kind of take them for granted. But he felt like they were important, so he wanted to write a poem about that. Well, the teacher kind of responded and said that it's an interesting theme, um, but there's kind of a problem. As the reader, the teacher wasn't convinced by the draft. She couldn't really see and use those five senses. She couldn't see, she couldn't hear, she couldn't feel these pebbles. So um, she couldn't think about them as being important or even mattering the way that she felt the student wanted them to. Okay, so she challenged the writer to go outside, find a pebble of their own, find one of their own, their pebble, and then write about that experience. And then we can compare the two differences. So what I did is I gave you example one as the first draft, and then I also provided example number two. This is after the revision and after the student went outside and found their own. And again, this is revised pebbles from the top. Now, I'm not talking about any pebble. This one, I mean, that's polygon shaped and has a rough yet gentle surface that I can roll around in my palm, that I can throw up in midair and catch in my hand. The one that dropped on the table makes a click, rattle, click. That's so light I can balance it on my thumb. Now, I hope I'm not asking too much, but can you look closely, like I did, at this pebble? Then find your own special thing in the world. So you can see that he added a whole mess of sensory details in there that changed the poem, but also it gave us a sense of being able to feel and maybe not so much taste, but you could hear. There were sensory details that you could see. So, 3 out of 4, 4 out of 5 sensory details that they went back and they revised and they added information. I thought that we would have more time today to go through and possibly get through the second part, but I think what I'll do is I'll save the rule of writing about a pebble part 2 for next week. And we'll go ahead and cut it off here. But next week, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remind you of the first draft and second draft of the poems. Okay. And then we're going to get into an activity that will help you guys kind of practice using the rule of write about a pebble. So I hope you guys are all doing well. The weather's starting to get a little bit nicer out there for us. Hope you guys are enjoying your time with your family, and hopefully we get to see you guys soon. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to email me. Um, you guys have my email address, and I hope you guys all stay well, okay? Look forward to seeing you soon.